Health Awareness Month is now over. And throughout the month of May, we spend time talking about what mental health is, who suffers from mental health, different kinds of mental health. We focus on anxiety as a subject on its own. And today we're looking at getting help with mental health issues. Hi, everyone. My name is Akwa. I am an early years practitioner. I work with children and families and especially support children who are delayed in their language development, as well as I am a parent coach. Welcome, Nelly, and you take the floor.
Hello, everyone. I am Nelly Kwasingwe, a transformational life coach and social worker. I'm really pleased to have you here today, and it is number 31 show. In the month of May, we focused on mental health because May is a month to talk about mental health. I'm sure you might be wondering, why then are we talking about mental health today? Well, it's just to round up because May finished yesterday, but since we don't run our show on Wednesday, that's why we decided, and we indicated last Thursday that we'll have one more. So today, I'll just take you through. So I'll make a recap of what we heard about mental health in the past month. It'll just be really brief. So if you want to listen to the videos, the conversations that we had, please visit our YouTube channel and you'll watch all the videos there. So we talked about mental health and we stressed that mental health is a person's state of mind. Mental health comprises of being in good health and being in ill health. All of it is just someone's state of mind. We talked about mental health being in a continuum from enjoying good health to struggling with mental health illness. And we talked about the 3 points on the mental health continuum, which is a healthy point where people are emotionally well balanced, they are stable, and they are good goal-oriented. They work towards a goal. And the second point is the problem point. And it is noted that this problem point is where a lot of people live. And on this problem point, people may show some distress and inability to cope, but perform their daily functions. So like I said, this is the area where a lot of people reside. And the last one is disorder or the problem point, when people are unable to cope with stress and they exhibit significant changes in their thought processes, their behaviors, and their actions. And unfortunately or fortunately, people easily notice a difference in people's behaviors because people cannot know what is going on in someone's mind without them giving certain cues. But again, seeing certain cues doesn't mean that you will conclude. You have to confirm from the person whatever they are experiencing. And mental health operates on 3 different levels. You have emotional factors, psychological, and social factors, and they influence how we think, how we feel, and how we behave. We talked about common mental health problems. When we say common, it's not that it's easy, it's just that a majority of the population suffers from it, and you can find out statistics. Say in the UK, you can go to the Office of National Statistics or go on the World Health Organization, you will see the statistics for yourself. So common mental health problems, we talked about depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, psychosis, schizophrenia, suicide, and self-harm. These mental health issues, there are some causes that lead to people experiencing these difficulties. We know that there are various causes such as biological. It might run in families. There's chemical, brain chemistry. You have life experiences such as trauma, abuse, and there's the family history. It doesn't mean that everyone who goes through traumatic experiences will have a mental health illness. So just to break down a bit more about like the trauma, I talked about the past or childhood experiences. For instance, physical or emotional abuse, neglect, losing a parent, being bullied at school, at work, anywhere being bullied, or socially excluded, experiencing racism. These factors are things that can contribute to one's mental health. Because remember, mental health is focused on the state of someone's mind. Another factor is current life situation. People experience stress. Sometimes it might be a one-off because something has just happened, but sometimes it is a build-up of stresses. And this makes it so much because as the stress is building up, people might not realize because they might fall on one point of the continuum that I talked about not too long ago. There's so much uncertainty. As people are feeling under pressure, whether at work, at home, their roles that they play in life. Sometimes long working hours, being out of work, not having money, housing problem, worrying about the environment, or natural disasters. Also, physical and mental health problems can impact the way we think, feel, and behave. For instance, you might have a physical illness that can contribute, that can impact your mental health. And the last factor I'll talk about is drugs and medication. Mental health can be provoked by some medication that we take. And sometimes people want to look for coping strategies and they might get into drugs, they might get into substances, alcohol, and it'll have an impact on their mental health. But know that not everyone who takes this medication, drugs, alcohol, will end up having mental health problems. That's not the case. It's just that there are some people who end up having or struggling with their mental health issues. So then the factors or other factors that contribute to mental health attitude, we look at these factors, especially within the Black community, because there's a lot of stigma. People are reluctant to discuss the symptoms because people don't feel listened to or even encouraged to talk about it. Some feel rejected that if they talk about the symptoms, they'll just, the response they'll get will be very, very discouraging. And they will not even want to talk about it because they know that what is the point? And it might make them feel more vulnerable because they don't know what other people might be talking, whether they'll be looked at like outcast, rejected, and not wanted. We talked about the lack of community support. We know that within the Black community, there's a lot of unity, solidarity, and community support in many aspects. However, when it comes to mental health, you don't get that support because that's not a topic that within the Black community people talk about. It's not a topic of discussion because when you bring it up, you will just be ignored or the responses you might regret bringing that up. And the last point is the need for relatable resources because people from the Black community, we did not, when we were growing up, we did not know a lot of vocabularies to explain our feelings. And so now with technology, with a lot of advancement, we are realizing that there are so many words to explain our emotions. Because like I talked about my own example, several years ago, before I came to the UK, I knew just two words to describe my emotions. One was sadness for anything that I didn't feel comfortable, and the other was happiness for when I felt joyous. So after years of me learning about mental health, I realized that there are so many words that we can describe different emotions like surprise, anger, just so many. Then we also talked about the beliefs about mental health. When you start talking about mental health within the Black community, the first idea that pops up in a lot of people is that you are mad, you are crazy, you eat from the bins and things like that, which is again one of those stigmas that really discourage people from talking about their mental health experiences. And because of these factors that contribute to people not talking about their mental health, they are likely to suppress their emotions. And we looked on the impact of unexpressed or suppressed emotions that can increase one's inner conflict. It can impact the way you see yourself. You might start doubting yourself. It might affect your self-esteem, your confidence. You might develop a lot of anger, resentment, repression, feeling empty inside. And then because of this, you start developing different coping strategies, which might not be healthy, but that is the way that people would develop to manage their emotions. So in brief, that is a brief summary of what we talked about last month. So I will just go now into the topic for today. So today is getting help with mental health issues. So dealing with mental health issues can be through professional help. There are different types of help that you can get. There's talking therapy, which is from counselors, well-being or life coaches, psychologists, occupational therapists, social workers, or the medication route, which is from psychiatrists, doctors or the GPs, community mental health nurses, or the mental health pharmacists. But there are other things that you can do to improve on your mental health. In the UK, we have something called the three well-being, ways of well-being. Five, I'll get that right in a minute and I'll tell you. So there it states that it is good to connect with other people. Connect with the people who bring out the positive in you. You stay positive. Look at, say, challenging situations. Look at the things that are positive that you can learn from it. Don't just dismiss it that, oh, it's a bad experience. No, even if it's a bad experience, what made it bad? What can you learn from that experience to improve on it? So next time when it happens, you'll deal with it in a different way. That's the lens of looking at it in a positive way. Get physically active. Go for a walk, go for a run, do gardening, just do something with your physical body. Help others. You might want to volunteer. help your neighbor, help the person over the street, even when you go shopping, help somebody even to carry their bag, just help other people. Get enough sleep. A lot of people underestimate the importance of sleep, and it really, really affects them. So have enough sleep. Now, what is enough sleep? According to the recommendation from research, says that adults sleep 8 hours. Monitor your sleep. When you sleep 8 hours and you wake up in the morning, how do you feel? Some people feel tired. Some people feel relaxed. If you feel tired waking up from sleep, then you need to investigate what is happening when you are asleep that you don't feel restful enough. When you wake up in the morning, eat healthy, eat balanced meal. Just eat healthy. We have different portions of food that you can eat. People tend to eat a lot of starch, carbohydrates, but I'm not going into that because I'm not a nutritionist. But we know that eating healthy helps with your mental health. And the last point I'll talk about is develop healthy coping skills. So everyone has coping skills. What you can do is take some time to reflect on each of your coping skills, coping strategies. Are they working? Do they need adjustments? What amendments can you make? Just so that you know you adapt them. Because coping strategies are mostly developed when we are in difficult situations. And then when we survive that incident, we keep on using, which is reinforcement, using those same strategies, which in the long run might not serve us. So which is why I say, take some time to reflect on each of your coping strategies one at a time. So, Aqua, do you have anything to say before I go on to different organizations that can offer mental health support?
Well, thank you, Nelly, for that good summary of what we've done for the past, 4 5 weeks? Gosh, may have just flown by like the wind. Thank you so much for bringing us this information and for raising the awareness on mental health, because as you said, it is not spoken about enough in our communities, and we are sometimes ashamed of the fact to disclose that we struggle with our mental health. And I am really grateful that we have these discussions and that we are able to, or we have the platform on which we can talk about it, and that we have the openness and willingness to even approach this subject. So thank you for that. And I hope that people have been encouraged, people have learned something out of this, and that going forward, whatever we're struggling with, we are going to seek help. We're going to talk about it. Even if you don't seek professional help, we're going to open up and talk to somebody about it, because like they say, a problem shared is a problem halved. So let us share our worries with one another. Thank you for that. Right, so the topic today is getting help with mental health issues or mental health problems, or if we're concerned. Now, first question I would like you to answer is, what help is available?
Yeah, thank you so much, Aqua, for that. Yes, there's plenty of help available. It depends where you are at. So the starting point is go to your doctor or your GP, wherever you are. There are different professionals that can help with mental health issues, if you're struggling with mental health issues. If you go to your GP, they might do an assessment and signpost you to a to a mental health professional, because not all GPs or doctors are mental health trained. So I would say if you are in the UK, I don't know about other countries, start from your GP, the general practitioner, or your doctor. If you are struggling with something, explain to your doctor. But even before that, try to find out what those symptoms are and what is the root cause. Because if, say, you are stressed and you go and you don't talk about the stress and you talk about symptoms, for instance, you feel constant headache, you might be prescribed medication for headache. But if you know that headache is a symptom of stress, and you say stress and you point out the stress, you will be helping yourself and the GP to direct you to the right place. You can get help from a community mental health nurse. They have a team that they will support you. And then you have the mental health pharmacist, and then the psychiatrist or the psychologist. But the best of my knowledge, before you are referred to a psychologist, a psychiatrist, it is easier through your GP. These are the ones that are concerned with the medication, not the psychologist though. Then there is the talking therapy. For the talking therapy, you have counselors that will sit and talk with you. Like, it's different from the way we talk on this show, but they will speak with you to go into details to find out what the causes are. Remember, I said sometimes we don't know how to explain what we are experiencing. So if you meet someone who is offering talking therapy, they'll guide you because they are trained in that field, help you to expose, to become aware of the triggers, because sometimes the triggers are things that we might know the triggers, but the root cause, we might not know it at that time. But when someone who is trained in that field helps you to go through the questioning and answers, then you will be able to identify the root cause of it. For talking therapists, besides counselors, you have well-being or life coaches, you have psychologists, occupational therapists, and social workers. Not all of these professionals will have the talking sessions with you to deep dive. They have their limitations. But if you get in contact with any of these professionals, they will direct you, they will signpost you, they will give you a advice on where to go to. And besides professionals, you can still get help with your mental health issues. If you want to talk to someone about your mental health issues, talk to someone you trust who will listen, because sometimes we just need someone to listen and not judge us, because when you're talking and the words are coming out, the ears hear and your brain processes it as if it's from some other person, but it is just from you. So talking out loud is very, very important. So if you want to talk about your mental health issues, especially about the stigma and the lack of support from our community, look for someone you trust. Like in churches, you have the pastors, you have the reverend fathers, you have some dedicated teams in churches that can mentor you, that can help you to go through the stresses or the issues that you are going through that could impact your mental health. If you want to speak to a friend, let it be a friend that probably it is mental health is a common topic that you talk about, because sometimes when you talk to, or a lot of times when you talk to people about mental health, they might stay quiet because they don't know how to approach that topic. And when they don't respond, you might feel that they are ignoring you, and then it will make you feel bad. So you need to weigh up before you open up about your mental health, but look for someone to talk to. Do not sit with it just within yourself, because it will get worse. Because when you are thinking, it goes like in a loop, in a circle, because you think about it. Because what you think about is information that you feed your mind. The mind is very, very creative. It will come up with some creative stuff, which is not good for you. And by the time you realize it, if at all you realize it, it might be too late. But if you see someone and you talk about it, just that person listening to you and just you talking about it out will help you. So, Aqua, have I answered that question?
Yes, yes, you have. Thank you very much. Yeah, so there's a lot of help available out there. Now, as you say, talk to people, talk to your GP. That's your first port of call. Talk to mental health practitioners. Talk to your pastor or some trusted friend. How easy is it to get professional help? You didn't mention charities and third sector. Well, you mentioned the churches, but there are other mental health charities that you can approach as well.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so yes, there are many other charities that you can, charities and organizations that offer mental health support. That one, I kept that one at the end, not just yet.
Okay, then. All right. So my next question is, how easy is it to get help with mental health issues?
Well,
because you've said that go to this person, go to that person, and it's as if I just knock on the GP's door, he's going to open it for me to come in and share my problems with him. How easy is it to access this help?
Yeah, honestly, I think it's just to start somewhere. If you go to your GP, like I said, before going to your GP, try to understand what the symptoms are. How can you describe what you are experiencing so the GP understands? Because imagine you feel, say, stress, but you don't know that it's stress. You just think that you feel this headache, and you go to the GP and you say headache. The GP gives you medication for headache. You come back, you take the medication for headache, and the headache does not finish. That will be like 2 weeks, because it depends on where you live. You take a long time to book an appointment. But if you know what you are struggling with, go to your GP and say, this is it. They refer you to a mental health professional. I don't know how long the waiting list is, but it's not just go there tomorrow. There is waiting list. And there are other charities besides a GP mental health professional. There are other charities. For instance, mine, I volunteered with mine some years back, and I was the therapeutic assessor. So I was like the first port of call to do assessment while people came to the mine. So mine is a charity that provides support for low to moderate mental health issues. So their waiting list was, I think, 6 weeks at that time. And it was much reduced as compared to that of the National Health Service, the NHS. I don't know how long it is now, but I know the waiting list is massive. However, just recollecting from my experience at mine, if you want to go private, you pay an additional cost and they see you quicker, not the long waiting list. So again, if you want to be seen earlier, you might choose to go to private practice, which will cost you more, but you will be seen much quicker than when you go to the NHS.
Hey, thank you for that. Yes, so like I said, excuse me, there are waiting lists for everything. And just to get to see a GP, you may have, you may be given appointments 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks down the line. And so, like I said, it is important that when you get this appointment, you know exactly what you are going to talk to the GP about. So that when you go, you emphasize your symptoms, you emphasize how you're feeling, and you talk to them about what you really want to see happen. Because sometimes, because we trust the GPs as the experts in the field, we just take anything that they suggest for anything. But it is important that you go there equipped with some knowledge, that even if you're told to do go see this person or that person, you ask questions. What am I going to get from them? What is going to happen? What are the processes? And like I said, the waiting list, for myself, like I said last week, I contacted Mind. I still haven't heard from them yet. So this is my first week of waiting. Let's see how long it is going to take, and I'll feed back to you all. We are a work in progress. We are learning as we're going along. So our lived experiences as well are going to help other people know what the processes are. So if you're watching us, share your experiences with us. If you've had to access mental health before, what were your experiences like? How long did it take you for you to access help? What help was offered, and what was helpful to you? Because not every therapy or medication will help every person. Share your experiences. One thing may work for one person and not work for another. So that would be great to hear from you. Now, when exactly should we seek help? The first time we feel stressed, the first time we have that anxiety, when should we seek help with mental health issues?
I think this one will depend on the individual. Again, just going back to the mental health continuum, there are 3 points: the healthy point, the struggling point, the problem point, or the disorder point. A lot of people are in the middle. They have different symptoms: physical symptoms, mental symptoms, and changes in behaviors. When it starts impacting on your life, on your daily activities, when you realize that the struggles is much. I don't know how much is much for you, but if you start realizing that it is getting to the extent that you feel that you cannot manage, it's impacting your sleep, it's impacting your feeding. Either you are overeating, or you are undereating or not eating, you are indulging in certain behaviors that you know is not good, but you just want, it's not good for your health, but you just want to indulge in them to get away from the problems, such as drugs, alcohol, and then it start impacting your daily life. Know that you've reached the stage where you need to seek help. Because at that stage, you are still functioning, yes, which is why a lot of people stay at that stage, because they have been on that stage for so many years, and they just take it that it's okay, it's normal. But it isn't, because even if you try to cover up that it's not impacting you, look at those around you. How is it impacting your spouse, your partner, your children, your family, your colleagues? How is it? Because it would be affecting other people, even if you choose to pay a blind eye. So if you look into those things, you will realize that if I am pretending that it is not affecting me, yet it is affecting my relationships, it is affecting my work performance, it is affecting how I relate to people that I care for, then take that bold step to say, you know what, I will not keep going on. I need that help. And it is at that stage that you choose to seek help.
Thank you, Nelly. That is so true, because a lot of people go about their daily life smiling, but nobody knows what's going on inside. And people have developed coping strategies, like you've said. They function when they need to function and do the things that they need to do. But then when they come back home, or they're in that space where they're all by themselves, that's when the demons start plaguing them. So it is important that we know ourselves. We know what our levels of stress are, what's normal for us, how our behaviors are. Like my friend told me that don't act out of character. What is that? What does that mean? What is your normal? What is out of character for you? So we know ourselves, and the people around us, that is one thing that we sometimes fail to realize. The people around us know us. And when somebody raises a concern, they're not raising the concern just to judge. They're not raising the concern because they want to point fingers. They know you. And if the people around you have raised concerns and have said, this thing that you are doing is leading you down, may lead you down the wrong path. Some people may accept and say, okay, I'm going to do something about it. Some people may say, what is wrong with what I'm doing? And become all defensive. So the people around you are the best people who know you and who can see the differences in you that you sometimes choose not to see. Like you said, we choose to turn a blind eye to some of these things because we don't want to face the reality. But seeking help is not only going to help you, it's going to help the people around you, your relationship, your work life, your health in itself. So it's important that we seek help. Now, the next question is, what can we do to help as lay people, as a bystander, as someone who's observing somebody spiral down the wrong road? What can we do to help?
Okay, yeah, that's a very powerful question. It sounds simple, but okay, thank you for that. I think as lay people, what we can do, the first thing I say is educate ourselves. Let's educate ourselves around mental health, because mental health, we can't see it, but we can notice from people's behaviors. So if you know someone and you start realizing that their behaviors is, say, out of character in a bad way, because if it's in a good way, it's all good and fine. But if it's in a bad way that is affecting them, but they are choosing to deny that it's not affecting them and affecting those around, is for you to talk to this person. But the way you approach anyone to talk can either make them to open up or to close up. If you want to approach someone and you start by accusing, you are behaving like this to just upset me, and they already is attacking, that person will just build a defense that no. But if on the other hand, you use, there's a powerful statement that we use, it is called the I statement. You say, for instance, I feel sad when you say come home late, or when you don't listen to me. That one, you are taking the responsibility first, because you say you are feeling, and then the because comes after. That is when you are putting it on that person, that you are feeling that way because of the way that person behaved. Don't just put it there and end. Give a suggestion, or ask, what is going on? I have noticed that you have changed. What is going on? If you speak to someone with a non-judgmental attitude, people feel it, they know it. Because if it's that person who has always been, because it's common for us to always be attacking, or in our community to always be attacked. So people are always ready. You want to come, I'm ready, I will attack. But if you take a subtle approach to talk to them, non-judgmental, I believe that there are two reactions. One, either the person goes really, really quiet because they are shocked that, why are you using that approach? Is it a trap or what? Or they might start telling you, but it'll be like drip, drip, drip. But if they start with a drip, maintain that same behavior, that non-judgmental attitude, because without you knowing, you are opening up to them to build trust, because a lot of people have developed mistrust because of whatever reason. There's a lot of mistrust in this world. So if you use this approach and honestly, you are non-judgmental, and like what I say is, there is this natural law of oneness, which if you know about this law, you will notice that whatever you do to anyone, you are doing it to yourself, because all of us are connected to the same one source. So if you have that open mind with love, pure love, not infiltrated love, that you really want to support this person to be the person that they can be, the best person, you will not go there with a judgmental attitude or to be attacking the person. Because you are going into this person's life to help them to realize something, because it's not that they have seen the other side of them. They haven't, because there's a lot of uncertainty and people just decide to block knowing what could be on the other side because of that fear, because all of it is the fear factor that is behind. So did that answer the question?
Yes. So yes, like you said, being supportive is not easy. It is not an easy thing to be supportive, especially when you're close to the person. It is not easy to, because before somebody wants to speak, most often than not, they've gathered the information, they've watched for a while, they've looked at the impact on maybe the children, their spouse, their work, and they're seeing that things are not going right. What can we do to help? So it's important that when we want to give help, like you said, we should be non-judgmental. And if you know that you cannot do it, because that is one thing, that if you know that you cannot do it, don't put yourself in a place where you go and cause more harm than good. If you're strong, if you know that this is not something that I can do, I cannot provide this support for that person, but I know that they're struggling. If you know a trusted friend, somebody who is close to them, that you know that they can speak to openly and freely, then maybe talk to that person, that I notice that this person is struggling. And I don't know how to help them, but I don't know if you can help them. I'm not going to disclose exactly what is happening, but if you can go to them, just reach out to them and see how they are, just ask how they are, maybe take them out for a walk or something and have a discussion with them. Sometimes that will help as well, because sometimes we are too close to the people with the mental health issues and they're impacting on us. And because of the impact on us, we too are emotional. And sometimes when we come to talk about these things, we come with a judgmental attitude, we come with a condemning attitude and a blaming attitude because of the impact that it has on us. And so we're not able to help that person. We push them back into the hole where they don't want to come out of, because they too are defensive, they too have their pride. So it's important that when we want to be supportive to that person, we too check ourselves. Why are we doing this? Are we doing it for selfish motives, or are we doing it because we genuinely care about that person and want to see them well? Now, I'm going to add something here that I learned from the mental health first aid. They have an approach to, I know that this is supposed to be for people who have done the training, but it might help somebody, might give somebody an idea on what to do. They use this acronym, ALGEE, or whatever, how this, ALGEE. And the A stands for approach the person, assess and assist with any crisis. So You approach them. It doesn't mean that you're a mental health practitioner. You just approach them and ask, is there anything I can do for you? Do you want to say something? Or should I just go through and then
I think it's good to do the training or get that awareness, because if you start guiding someone through and then you get in the middle, because when you want to guide someone, you don't know what that person is going through, because they can just open a can of worm and probably you can be really, or you can be overwhelmed by that information and then you don't know what to do. So that idea that you are saying is good if you've done the training, because you know you are prepared in a way on how you can support that person. But for me, like what I say is, if it's someone you know, you can talk to the person. Don't just dismiss what they are experiencing, because that's something that people really struggle with when they try to explain what they are experiencing and people just dismiss it. It makes them feel worse. If you want to help, ask them what things would they like to do. So you use the distraction technique, because at that time, you who wants to support, you are not equipped, you don't know how to support that person. But by you distracting that person, that, okay, that is what you are experiencing. What would you want to do instead? Or what would you like to happen instead of what you don't like? Now that is problem solving, because like I say, everyone knows how to solve their problems. But the thing is, sometimes it's the courage, the confidence. We need that validation from someone, because we are so used to that we don't put the solutions in place. So if you help that person to distract them and look at what would they want instead, you supporting, don't be giving them answers because they know the answers. Instead, ask them questions that what would they rather be, or what would they rather do, or what can they do to achieve what they have. Before you know it, the person's state of mind would change, because now the focus has been shifted from the issue now to solution, which will help them. And probably you will be there on that solution and be thinking, oh, if you want this, what actions will you take to achieve that? Do you get it, how it goes? So
Yes.
you are just taking the person away from that focus and then giving them the solution. So now you are guiding them through looking for solutions to solve that problem without you dealing with it, because you are dealing with it indirectly, but you are not
You're just
really
saying
on it.
exactly what is here. It's not different from what is written here. Because
Oh,
it says approach the person to offer support. Like
okay.
and then it says listen and communicate non-judgmentally. Give support and information if you have it. Encourage the person to get appropriate professional help and encourage other support. So it's the same thing that you're saying in other ways. So that's just
I
like,
could have just sat quietly.
you should have just said quietly.
I had something else and I was like, no. You are on mute.
So it's not saying that you go to give professional help. It's just being available.
Okay.
Like what you said. Because you don't know what you can avert. It's just like we've said it in here before, that people have written notes to say that they're going to commit suicide. But if one person just smiles at them on the way to jump on that bridge, they will change their mind. But because as we live in an environment where everybody's so individualistic, everybody is focused on where they're going. Nobody wants to stop, or nobody wants to give eye contact to a stranger. People do these things to themselves without us even realizing. So if give that smile, you don't know what you can avert with, or just a smile that you give a stranger. Say good morning to people. It's not going to kill you. Even if they do not respond, doesn't matter. You're going a separate way. So hi, smile, and It's a smile is something that you give it away and it comes back to you. You don't buy it with money, it's free. So some of these, the help that we can offer is something that's free, just being available. The biggest cost is your time. And we know that time cannot be retrieved, but you would have given something that is invaluable because that person cannot pay you back for that time that you sat there to listen to them. So it's important that we make ourselves available. Let's become a community again and help one another thrive emotionally. That is what I would say to that. Yeah. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks for that. Yeah. I mean, we really, what I want to say here is when people behave in a way that we don't like, it is a reflection of something within us that we tend to be judgmental. So if somebody's behavior, or if you feel triggered by somebody's behavior, take a step back and ask yourself, why has that person's behavior triggered me? What is it saying about me? Because it is you and not that person. Because it is a side of you that you need to address. So when people are doing things, they are not doing it to intentionally hurt you, even if they do. To an extent, it is a coping strategy to preserve themselves. So if someone comes to you and speaks to you in a rude way, I mean, like for me, I see this sometimes, like driving, someone overtakes me or whatever, and then he curses me, and I'm like, you okay? And then I've realized that when I do that, the person gets really, really angry. Sometimes they stop by the side and look at me, and I'm like, I smile. And then I'm smiling because in my head, I'm just thinking, why are you upset? All of us are rushing to go to somewhere, even if I'm going somewhere to do nothing. All of us are rushing. That's why we're
even if you're going somewhere to do nothing.
Do nothing. Yes. That's why we use the car.
That's a good one.
So I don't understand why sometimes people get angry and on the road. Even like I remember there was a time it was pedestrian crossing, which means pedestrians have the right to cross and cars have to wait. As I started crossing, this lady, and it was at the car park, this lady just came on full speed and I ran back. And then she was cursing me and swearing. And I just turned and I laughed. And I said, are you okay? And then she got really, really angry. So, I mean, things like that, when people behave, they have their own issues. You don't know the issues that people are carrying in their heads, in their minds, in their bodies. So don't get involved in it. Don't let it impact your own day. Just let them go. Send them some blessings. Send them some positive energy. Let them go. Let them get some solutions to whatever problems they have. Put your own guard, because you don't need to let other people's negative energies influence you, because then it will affect your whole day, your whole month, or your whole life even. So just for us to be very careful that as much as we show care, love, and respect for others, we need to set those boundaries to protect ourselves as well.
That's very important. That's very true. So, yes, we have looked at a lot of things on this show. We have looked at where to get help. And one thing that we didn't really talk about is the impact of mental health on our, because we've said that, yes, it might impact people, but we have not really talked about the impact on our children, the impact on our relationships, the impact on our jobs. We've just said that it does impact, but how? I know that this is not part of the topic today, but how does that impact these things? Let's just.
So it impacts it. Okay, let's start with, so which one do you want us to start with?
How does it impact? So let's say if the parent has mental health issues, how does it impact on the child? Let's start with those.
Okay, Let's say the parent has a mental illness. Again, it will depend on the mental illness. What capacity does the parent have? So let's say a parent has anxiety, for example, and let's say general anxiety disorder, and the parent feels very, very anxious going out of the house, which means the parent does not leave the house. The parent stays indoors. Probably now with online shopping, the parent does only online shopping. The parent is unable to attend, say, parents' evening or take the children to the park or things like that. Gradually, the children are learning that they too need to be scared of whatever the parent is scared of. And so, unknowingly, the children develop the same anxieties as well. And for the children, because already for the parents, it might be limiting their life chances because they will not feel confident to have a job, to get a job, because they fear going out of that house. So then the children will see it as that is the norm within their family. And they will develop those fears as well. And then they might end up not getting any job, probably not even finishing their school, because they will prefer to stay at home to support the parent who is struggling with the mental health issue. So that's a way it can impact the children, and the children might become young carers for their parents who are struggling with mental health. And imagine a young child being the young carer for their parents will mean that probably they will struggle to catch up in school. If they go to school, they might not focus on studies. They might be thinking of, oh, at home, is my parent, is that mom or dad, are they okay? Is something going on wrong? If I was at home, what can I do? How? So they'll be in school, yes, but their minds will be back home because they are scared that since they're not at home with the parent, something bad might happen. So it will affect the children's academic performance. Not that they are not clever enough, but it's because their focus is not on the studies. Their focus is on caring for their parents.
That is so true. Sometimes we do not even, these are some of the things that we do not even think about, especially at school. Teachers may not even be aware of what is going on at home for that child. The child may come into school, they're sleeping, or they're displaying some unwanted behavior, or they're not concentrating, or they're not focusing on their studies. And it is important that teachers not only focus on the academic aspect of schooling. They need to look at the children's well-being as well, the emotional well-being. It's not to say that you should go prying into people's private lives, but it's important to know the children that you're teaching and know when changes start happening, and to notice these changes and to ask what is going on. And like we always see, the behaviors without knowing the root causes. Sometimes these children may become troublesome, they become rebellious because of the impact of the load that they're carrying at home, that they're not meant to carry on their young shoulders. Like I said, they become young carers. They're the ones cooking. Maybe they're the older sibling. They're the one looking after the junior ones because parent is not available mentally. They don't have the capacity. Not because they don't want to, they don't have the capacity to parent. And as such, children are left to suffer. There may be other impacts, but let's just talk about, because let's see what time we have, a few more minutes. Let's just talk about now the impact on your intimate relationship. How can mental health impact on your intimate relationship, or your husband, spouse, partner, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, relationship in general, it really impacts because, okay, let's say, because here we need to differentiate the kinds of mental health. Let's say low to moderate, let's say anxiety or depression. Or let me take a depression. We know the symptoms of depression, where you lost interest in the things that you used to find very interesting. Low mood. So if, say, you feel very irritable, whether your spouse, your partner, your children might come with something that they find very funny, and they're saying, hey, 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 with all the joy, all the happiness, and they come to you. And then because anything you feel irritable about, you might just get really upset and say, why are you doing this to upset me? Already you've put a barrier, because whoever is coming with that joy to share with you was coming to also, so both of you should join in the happiness or whatever the thing is. But then when you become upset that that person has come to you, the whole dynamics will change, because the person who came in very happily will be like, they need to protect themselves. And probably when they go, no matter the happy thing that they experience, they might not want to share with you because they already feel rejected, because they cannot understand why you had to respond that way. So, which is why, again, it is really important, like in a family setting, for children to understand their parents' illnesses in a child appropriate way. So then the child will know that it is not their fault, because children at their ages, they always think that everything is their fault because of their stage of development. They're still very egoistic. So they think that everything is me. So then they think that anything that goes on wrong in the household is their fault. But when children are educated on their parents' illnesses, which age appropriate, then the children will know that, oh, it's not me. It's just that my parent is having a bad day and things like that. And it will really help the children, because they will differentiate. They will not take it that they are the problem or they are the cause of why their parents are suffering. But yes, mental health affects intimate relationships, relationships with your family, those you care for, relationships with those at work, even in the community. It affects relationships in general.
Okay, thank you for that. Yes, well, the biggest thing take away from there is the fact that you are unavailable. When you have, when someone has mental health issues, they are unavailable. They are not emotionally available to give what they should be giving in that relationship. And expectations, when we come in relationships, we all have expectations. We're all coming that somebody should make us happy. And if they're not available to make us happy, we become sad, which is one thing that we need to be aware of. Our happiness should not be external. It should not be dependent on other people. You should not come into a relationship for that person to complete you, to make you happy. You're not coming to that relationship so that person can fix you. No, you should bring your whole self, and they should bring their whole self to come and join in and make a happy whole, and not one person comes broken, you come broken, you fix me, I fix you. No, it doesn't happen. You will always be disappointed in one way or another. So when we have mental health issues, especially when we have chosen some negative coping strategies, it really impacts on our relationships, because one, say for example, the person starts taking drugs or alcohol. When you're high, you're not available to look after your children. You're not available to meet your spouse's needs. And then you lose maybe a day or two where you could be interacting with your family members, but you're hungover, or you're out, spaced out with drugs. And so the biggest thing is the unavailability, from what I have gathered, because you are not there, you're not present. You may be in the house, but you are not there. So it is one of the reasons why we really need to seek help, because yes, that is maybe a coping mechanism. Yes, you're coping, but what about the other people around you? Do you think about how they're coping, or are they even coping, or do you think it even impacts on them what we're doing, our health and our, so it's important that we are aware of these things, because I know that this is a big topic that we can talk about for a long time, but it's important that we are aware as we're looking at mental health, that it not only impacts the person who is suffering, it impacts everybody that they are in contact with, and then jobs as well. It will impact on our productivity, impact on your relationship with your colleagues. Maybe you're not open with people you're in contact with, because there's this secret part of your life that you're hiding, because you don't want to show who you really are. You're not authentic, and so you're only superficial with all your relationships. Nobody knows you really deep. Yes, so we become very superficial people, and we just share superficially. Nobody, you don't want to get too close to anybody, because they may find out this is what I'm struggling with. But here at Hand in Hand, we hope and we pray that we are open enough to make you feel welcome, to make you know that you can come to us with whatever we share with one another, and we hope we're trying to share with you as well as much as we can of who we are, so that you realize that we are not talking superficially. Our message is about what we have experienced as well. And so we're talking out of our experience. And we're not experts in anything in particular, but we're experts in our own lived experiences, as Nelly always says. So yes, I just thought we should talk about the impact on us and our relationships and things like that, because sometimes we're not aware. People are not even aware that this is what is happening.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, thank you so much for that. It's very, very true. So just what I'll add is some of the mental health helplines. There are lots of them, but I'll give just a couple. You have Mind. Mind is a charity. If you type MIND, if you are in the UK, they are just like everywhere. You have their helpline. They have the Young Mind for young people. You have charity like Turning Point. You have Time to Change. You have Samaritans. And if you look, have numbers there that some of them you can ring them. Is a free number. You can ring them 24/7. Some, especially for the young people, you can text. It's text only. You can send them a text and someone will get to you. Some of them, they go by GP. Wherever your GP is, they'll direct you to a Mind within that area. And that also support like Kooth for children, for young people, KOOTH. You have Quail for young people as well. So there's plenty. And I find it really, really helpful when, especially with this advancement in technology, that organizations like or dealing with mental health are moving along with the technology, because they know that young people prefer texting to making a phone call or a video call. So they have provided the service for young people. You can get a mentor or someone who will be talking to you without you ever seeing the person's face or hearing their voice, just by text messaging, which is really good. So if you need to find out any support, click on Google, type mental health support within your area so that you can easily access it. But again, some of these organizations operate nationally. So if you are within the UK, you can access them. I think for now, we don't know the ones that are available out of the UK. We know we have people watching us from Cameroon, and I know there are some support in Cameroon, but we don't know how to get to them directly. So in subsequent sessions, we will look for those information. But the main thing is what we have been doing for this month of May, not that today's May, finished yesterday, is that let talk about mental health, because mental health is different from mental illness.
Mhm.
Everyone experiences mental health because it is a state of the mind. So our intention is to encourage each and every one of us to talk about mental health. I have shared my experiences. Aqua has shared her experiences, because we want to let you know that we talking here have gone through, we are experiencing it, and we struggled because, like for me, I didn't know the words to use, and I didn't even know, first of all, that it even existed until I learned. So, which is why we encourage you to learn, be open-minded and learn, because when you learn, you grow. Let's together talk about mental health, especially within the African community, within the Black community, to reduce the stigma, because people who are labeled as mad people, they have potentials, but other things have come into their life that have suppressed their potentials. So let's talk about mental health. That is the main thing that we have here at Hand in Hand.
Thank you, Nelly. And if you'd like to find out more about what we do, visit our website on www.handhandcommunitycic.com. I repeat, www.handhandcommunitycic.com, or send us a direct message on Facebook and we will get back to you. So thank you, Nelly, for a wonderful 5-6 weeks of mental health awareness, and for all the knowledge that you've shared in your expertise as a life coach. And hopefully people have been encouraged, people have learned a thing or two, and please join us if you have anything that you'd like to share. If you have any topic that you'd like us to cover on this show, send us a message about it. Or if you want to be a panelist, come on, join us. So let's share our experiences with one another.
And again, if you want to talk about any mental health struggles that you are going through, or emotional well-being, contact us and we'll talk about that privately, not on the show. Because we hold our
confidentiality matters. Okay, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, and have a nice rest of your day. Bye-bye.